On December 18th, Pope Francis and the Vatican's doctrinal office issued a letter, Fiducia Supplicans. It allows priests to give blessings to same-sex couples and couples in irregular situations under certain circumstances. Now, bishops and bishops' conferences all over the world, including Africa, Peru, Brazil, Poland, Hungary, and Kazakhstan, have all issued statements of resistance or opposition to this document. And just this week, on January 4th, the Vatican's doctrinal office issued a further clarification of the document. Here, with analysis, is the editor of Catholic World News and visiting fellow at New Hampshire's Thomas More College, Philip Lawler. Philip, thank you for being here. Before we get to the backlash to those blessings, I want to get your reaction to what the Dicastery of the Doctrine of Faith here, what their clarification actually says. It attempts to assuage the concerns of these bishops who have objected to the document. In a press release, Cardinal Fernandez writes, quote, "Some bishops, for example, have established that each priest must carry out the work of discernment and that he may, however, perform those blessings, or these blessings, only in private. None of this is problematic if it is expressed with due respect for a text signed and approved by the Supreme Pontiff himself, while attempting in some way to accommodate the reflection contained in it. Each local bishop, by virtue of his ministry, always has the power of discernment, prudence, and attention to the ecclesial context and to the local culture, could allow for different methods of application, but not a total or definitive denial of this path that is proposed to priests." Okay, that's what the document says. Now, Phil, after purposely cutting bishops out of any competency here, Fernandez is now trying to reintroduce the role of bishops, but not really. I mean, he says the power of discernment is something they have, but, quote, not a total or definitive denial of these blessings is within their power. What do you make of this?
Well, it's a fascinating statement. You know, in the original statement released on December 18th, this same dicastery said there would be no more guidance on the particulars of the sort of blessings that were contemplated by the document. And now, less than 3 weeks later, we have a 5-page press release giving clarifications of exactly what they said they wouldn't clarify. What this document tells you is that there should be no confusion. Well, there is confusion. There should be no concern that this is somehow in conflict with permanent Catholic teaching. Well, there is that concern. The dicastery is insisting that there should be no confusion, but people are confused. They're clarifying, but it's still not clear. This is a classic case of piling on to the problem that they've already created. Yeah. Well, Phil,
you know, I loved weeks ago when we first reported this, when I had to break open my Christmas show and spend time talking about this. We got some folks saying, you haven't read the document. You haven't read the document closely enough. That's not what it says. There's no doctrinal change here. You know, it's not even implied. Well, I guess the bishops of Africa, Poland, Kazakhstan, they haven't read the document either. I mean, the disconnect between reality and what this document opens the door to is just vexing to anybody with any sense of what's happened over the last few decades. But look, later in this doctrinal clarification, we find this. It says, quote, "In order to avoid any doubt, the declaration adds that when a blessing is requested by a couple in an irregular situation, even though it is expressed outside the rites prescribed by the liturgical books, this blessing should never be imparted in concurrence with the ceremonies of a civil union, and not even in connection with them, nor can it be performed with any clothing, gestures, or words that are proper to a wedding. The same applies to when the blessing is requested by a same-sex couple. It remains clear, therefore, that the blessing must not take place in a prominent place within a sacred building or in front of an altar, as this also would create confusion." Now, Phil, if you've seen the cascade of photos coming forward over the last few weeks, I mean, it's clear, you know, this idea that you can avoid any doubt by only giving the blessing in certain settings or in certain dress is just being ignored.
It is being ignored, and that is so predictable. The Vatican statement today insists, as did the original statement, that there is no change in church teaching. It repeats that, but there is a change in the message that's being conveyed. A blessing is a sign as well as a blessing. Think of some child who sees a couple being blessed by a priest. He knows nothing about what's gone on before that blessing. Doesn't he assume that that blessing conveys some sort of approval? Now, the Dicastery is saying that what's a development in doctrine here is the idea that you can ask for a priest's blessing even if you're not in a perfect situation. Well, we all knew that. Anybody can ask for a priest's blessing at any time. But when you go to a priest with someone else and ask that priest to bless you as a couple or as a group, that has to be implying some approval of the couple or the group. And if that group or that couple is based on immoral behavior, what is the sign? What is the message? It's unmistakable. You can't blame it on the media. The media got this story right, frankly. This was an opening to approval, in a sense, not a wedding, but approval of same-sex unions. And that's why so many of the bishops from around the world, and particularly in the places where the church is growing fastest, they see this as a problem for evangelization, as a counter witness.
Yeah. Well, even Fernandez's own predecessor in Argentina has come out against this document. I mean, the fascinating thing here is all the people trying to explain this away and say, well, it's just a blessing as anyone would pursue a blessing. Well, fine. Phil, nobody has a problem with priests blessing any sinner. We're all sinners. So at the end of Mass, there's your general blessing. Go there. But the fact that you have to issue a document cordoning off a particular type of people and explicitly a couple, it means something. There's a meaning behind it and an intentionality here. Now, an increasing number of bishops and bishops' conferences have issued statements forbidding or objecting to these blessings in their dioceses. Multiple bishops' conferences in Africa, Cameroon, Kenya, Malawi, Angola, Burkina Faso, Niger, Kenya, Rwanda, Zambia, they have all announced that they will not honor Fiducia Supplicans, this document. Ditto for Poland and Kazakhstan and Hungary. For example, President of the Bishops' Conference of Cameroon, Bishop Andrew Nikia, wrote this: "We formally forbid all blessing of homosexual couples in the Church of Cameroon. Rejecting it is in no way being discriminative. It is a legitimate protection of the constant values of humanity in the face of a vice that has become the subject of a claim to legal recognition, and today the subject of a blessing." And I mean, you see this internationally. This from the Bishops' Conference of Poland. Since practicing sexual acts outside of marriage, that is, outside the indissoluble union of a man and woman open to the transmission of life, is always an offense against the will and wisdom of God, expressed in the Sixth Commandment, people who are in such a relationship cannot receive a blessing. This applies in particular to people in same-sex relationships. Phil, I mean, this growing resistance started immediately after the release of this Vatican declaration, and it quickly spurred this supposed clarification. Now Fernandez says none of this is doctrinal opposition. What is it then? What are we seeing from these bishops?
They think it's the doctrinal opposition. Cardinal Fernandez says it can't be, in the same sense that he says they can't be confused. Well, they are confused, and insofar as they aren't confused, they see this as in conflict with Catholic doctrine. And just by the way, let's bear in mind that just 2 years ago, this same office, the Dicastery for the Doctrine of the Faith, issued a statement on the question of can the church offer blessings to same-sex unions. And that statement was pretty clear. It said no.
But Phil, you see Fernandez in this document going into pretzels, trying to say, well, this is in continuity with that statement. Because, yes, we can't bless the sin, but we're blessing the individual's yearning for a better way forward. That's basically what he says here. And then he tries to distinguish between liturgical blessing and what he calls personal or pastoral blessings. Is there really a difference here?
Oh, I think there is a difference between a liturgical blessing, such as is what you would see at a marriage, a Christian marriage, and a spontaneous blessing where you ask a priest on the sidewalk if he can bless you. That's a legitimate difference. But to make a big deal of it, to say that's a doctrinal development and to encourage it. You see, I mean, you are encouraging people to seek a blessing on a union that the church cannot view with approval. So it may be not liturgical, it's not a ritual, it's not part of a sacramental event, but it is, I don't see how you can say it's not an expression of approval. And you have the bishops of the Eastern Catholic churches pointing out that in the Byzantine tradition, it's very clear that whenever a priest gives a blessing, that is an indication of approval. So you are approving of these couples on the basis of their relationship. I just don't see a way around that. And as you say, Cardinal Fernandez is twisting himself into pretzels, but it's really not that difficult.
Do you see this resistance growing? Will more bishops join this chorus? And are we witnessing a slow-rolling schism here? I mean, Fernandez's pleadings that this changes nothing and only affirms traditional Catholic teaching on marriage and family, does that quell this uprising?
It can't. It just can't. Because, look, if you tell me, oh, Phil, you shouldn't be upset, and I'm still upset, and you keep telling me not to be upset, you're not listening. For all the church, for all the discussion that we've heard about synodality, this is an indication of bishops around the world telling the Vatican, telling the Dicastery for the Doctrine of the Faith, this is sending the wrong message, and the Vatican is not listening. And that's a really important development. That's this reaction to this Vatican document is something that I have not seen in all the years that I've covered Catholic affairs, going on 40 years now. This is unprecedented to have a significant proportion of the bishops from around the world and Episcopal conferences saying, no, this statement from the Vatican can't stand. There's a real pressure to roll it back, and I hope the Vatican will start listening soon.
Yeah, no, it's very curious, particularly in this age of a synodal church, which was all about listening, and the bishops were totally cut out of this. This wasn't brought up at the synod. This wasn't part of the, debate or discussion at the synod. It was an ad hoc, separate bit of action by the Pope near the end of the year, in the middle of the Advent season. And the other thing here that we shouldn't glissade over, Phil, not only is there this titanic reaction, the likes of which I've never seen either, and when you talk to some of these bishops, they felt they had to come forward because it is the heart of the faith. And in Africa, they're being challenged by Islamics and other faith traditions about their fidelity to marriage. So this is critical for evangelizing and holding on to the church and the faith in those countries. In a somewhat related story, there was a USA Today report that African priests are coming to the U.S. to help relieve the priest shortage here. Given the traditional nature of the church in Africa, how might their ministry affect what we're seeing in the U.S. church and its reaction to this document?
That's a really good question, and I'll have to wait and see. I don't know enough about the priests who are coming from Africa. It is a fascinating development, isn't it, to have the countries that were once mission territory now sending missionaries to the countries that were once sending missionaries to them. And it's a beautiful thing about the faith to see how that will work. I am hopeful that they will bring the vivacity of the African church to the West, where we're really suffering from a lack of energy. And it could very well be that their traditional views on issues such as marriage and sexuality will have a beneficial effect on our countries and the church in our countries.
Phil, I want to play something for you. This is from my discussion with Robert Royal a few weeks back concerning the German synodal way and this same-sex blessings permitted by this document. Then we'll get your reaction. Watch. Does this bar the German bishops and others who've already created these formalized blessings of same-sex couples, Bob, or does it encourage them to go further? Some of them are already saying this is a small, big step.
Yeah, some people have made the argument that this document is actually intended to prevent the Germans and the Belgians who have been developing formal rituals of same-sex blessings from doing so. But for me, the tip-off in this is that those more progressive elements in the church have no objections to the fact that there are limitations for now about what they're supposed to be doing.
Phil, your thoughts, isn't the German synodal way rather, really a forerunner to so much of what we see coming out of the Vatican now, despite the recent vocal corrections from Pope Francis?
Yes, and I completely agree with Robert Royal there that this is, it's telling that the German bishops who are pushing this synodal path and pushing for blessings of same-sex unions are not troubled by the restrictions that are here on paper. We've seen how this works before in the church. We've seen how the Vatican will say something is not licit, and the so-called progressive Catholics will do it anyway, until finally it's adopted everywhere. Communion in the hand, altar girls. We've seen how this works. The German bishops and other progressives, Father James Martin and others, will push the envelope on this. It's predictable. And by the way, you cannot convince me that part of the reasoning for putting out this document, the original directive, was to put on the brakes on the German bishops by saying that they could not authorize these blessings for same-sex unions because, again, just a few years ago, just 2 years ago, the same Dicastery gave a very clear answer to that question, and the answer was no. So that's the status quo ante. You can't convince me that they had to say no now in a document so rife with confusing messages and doublespeak.
Yeah, no, they're trying to have it both ways with this document, but it clearly opens a door. I mean, everybody got that right, as you said earlier. Before we run out of time, a priest in the Italian diocese of Livorno was excommunicated at the top of the year by his local bishop for calling Pope Francis, quote, a usurper in his New Year's Eve homily marking the anniversary of Benedict XVI's death. Philip, what do you make of the lightning speed action taken here, particularly given the slow pace of other Vatican disciplinary actions, especially about notorious figures like Rupnik and others?
Well, I think that there is a bishop who is in Livorno who is very anxious to stay on the good side of the Pope. He made the point that this priest who called the Pope a usurper had brought upon himself the sentence of excommunication latae sententiae, that is automatically by an act of schism. Well, yes, but to make it official, the bishop has to announce that the man is excommunicated. And as you say, he did announce that with lightning speed within about 72 hours. That's just not the way these things usually work. I have to assume that this is a bishop who recognizes that Pope Francis at this stage in the pontificate is quite ready to reward his friends and punish his perceived enemies.
I want to get your take finally on a meeting with Raymond Cardinal Burke and the Pope. This happened on December 29th, presumably about the Pope's decision to remove Burke's salary and his pension and his living privileges in a Vatican apartment. Now, there have been no details about this meeting from either party. Your thoughts on what this, I guess, photo op was designed to create?
My guess is that Cardinal Burke wanted to meet with the Pope, to speak with him, which he's been wanting to do for several years now without success.
7.
But
Yeah.
But Cardinal Burke wanted to make this happen before he left Rome, which I think he would not be at all unhappy to do. My understanding is he would be happy to live in retirement in Wisconsin. But of course, we don't know anything about the conversation that took place. It's curious that the Pope allowed it only now after the punishment had been put in place. And again, there's this tremendous double standard between the punishments meted out to Cardinal Burke because he's perceived as a rival or critic of the Pope, and the punishments that are not given to Rupnik, who is convicted of multiple counts of abuse. So again, the Pope rewards his friends and punishes those he perceives as his enemies.
Phil Lawler, we will leave it there. Catholic World News editor Phil Lawler's reporting and commentary can be found at catholicculture.org. Thank you, Phil.
Thank you.